Welcome to yet another chat with a Comprehensible Input Challenge champion. And I say champion because anybody who can sit through all those hours of me nattering in Toki Pona is a champion in my book. So what exactly are we doing here? Well, the challenge is to watch 30 stories of roughly 20 minutes each, and I use pictures and gestures and funny faces and funny noises to make sure that you can follow along with the story. And the point here is that technically, if you can follow along with the story, then my videos are comprehensible input. And according to Stephen Krashen's input hypothesis and automatic language growth, this is enough for your brain to automatically start to put the pieces together and acquire the language. Now, usually 10 hours of comprehensible input isn't really enough to make much of a dent, but I'm telling these stories in a tiny, tiny constructed language called Toki Pona, which only has 120 words. So 10 hours still isn't really enough to be completely proficient, but it is enough to have very noticeable results in Toki Pona. So that's the challenge. If you want to go and find the videos, you just have to go over to YouTube and search for the abbreviation OPETP, which is the abbreviation of pilin Toki Pona. And the 30-day challenge is to watch one video a day for 30 days and see what happens. And we're about to meet yet another victim who has kindly taken the time to watch all the videos and is now taking the time to share his experience with us. And that's Mike. Welcome, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Joel. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So before we have a go at speaking Toki Pona together, I think it will be interesting to find out what your background with languages is. Have you learned other languages in the past, or what's your story when it comes to languages?
Yeah, well, I'm interested in languages, and I've traveled a bit. I've lived in other countries, so there are many languages I've learned to some extent, although certainly not to the level I'd like. In high school, I studied Latin, which was the first foreign language I learned. And of course, Latin in high school in those days, the goal was to read and translate Latin literature, not really the goal of language learning for most other languages. And I've lived in Thailand and Japan, briefly in Brazil. So I've done some study of the languages of those countries.
Yeah, that's fascinating because, of course, we all know that there's European languages and then there's more exotic languages. And I think both Thai and Japanese are
Thai and Japanese, they are not
in
the European family.
Yes. So how with Thai and Japanese especially, I'm sure you must have tried a lot of different methods over the years. You must have tried different things. I'm curious to know what you found has worked for you or not. You know, what's your
well, my approach, which is not my approach, which is not necessarily the best approach. I'm interested in grammar and linguistics, so I do start off by reading grammar books, and I think that's fun, but I would prefer to have something like the Toki Pona videos where I could start with listening, with input. That would help keep me from getting a slightly wrong version of the pronunciation in my head from the start, which is what happens when I use books.
Yeah.
But I mean, for most languages, those resources, well, they certainly weren't available when I moved to Thailand in 1990 when there was no internet. Now things are better, but I still think most languages don't have any option like a course with your videos.
Right. I have to ask.
So I think I wouldn't want to abandon my approach with the grammar books, but I would like to supplement it with lots of listening, comprehensible listening right from the start.
Got it. So, of course, having been in Thailand, I've got to ask, the AUA school in Thailand uses like the ALG approach. Do you have any experience or exposure to that?
No, actually, I used to work at AUA. I worked at AUA for 18 years, or no, for 12 years in Thailand, 18 years, but I never took their Thai program.
Right.
By the time I started working there, I already spoke Thai to some extent.
Right.
I was living with a Thai person, so I had daily communication in the language. I think I would have enjoyed the program, but I never took it.
Okay. That's interesting. I've just got to ask somebody who's been there, and it's like
Yeah.
you were at the school as well, so it's a natural question, I think. Yeah. So about the challenge, how did you find it? Why did you take it? What made you do it?
Well, I took it for work. As you probably know, Mark Koopman at my school, at SEG in Japan,
Yeah.
we have weekly training meetings. And for the past month, the focus of our weekly training was to watch about 5 of your videos in advance for the meeting, then one during that meeting, and talk a little bit about our experiences.
Yeah.
And at first, I would say I wasn't so interested. I would rather spend my time learning real languages or real languages like Japanese or French rather than artificial language. But I thought, okay, it's required for work. I'm getting paid for doing this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed the videos a great deal. I think you did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
I thought they were very comprehensible and very entertaining. And I even rewatched a few of the videos at the end to see the earlier videos a second time. Pick up on some things I missed the first time. I think except for the first 2 or 3 videos, I understood what was happening fairly well.
Good. Okay. That's very interesting to me. And well, I'm glad it wasn't an unpleasant experience. And
No, I really
totally
enjoyed it.
understand. I totally understand that constructed languages, like, what's the point? I understand that reaction. I suppose with the point of these videos is to make a point about language acquisition rather than actually learning the language itself. But of course, somebody who is interested in Toki Pona is going to love these things, I think. But yeah. Okay, nice. I would like to ask you a little bit more about your feedback afterwards. But I think let's move on to the experiment. So for the sake of science, I like to just set a baseline for this experiment, and then I'd like to just ask you a couple of questions to see to what extent you were close or far away from that. So the concept is that somebody who knows nothing about Toki Pona watches one video a day for 30 days, nothing else. They don't see anything, they don't look anything up. And then after the end of those videos, the first thing we do is have this interview. That's the concept of the challenge. So before you started watching the videos, you didn't know anything about Toki Pona, I think.
No, years ago, I printed up these practice problems for a linguistics Olympiad, and one of them was in Toki Pona, but I don't remember that at all.
Gotcha.
In fact, I remember it being one of the harder problems, and I gave up on it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And then you watched one video a day for the 30 days, more or less, I think.
More or less. Some days I watched no video, some days I watched 2, but I did keep to the schedule of, I think, 6 videos a week in order to do my required work for the training program.
Gotcha.
And as I said, I did rewatch a few of the early videos as well.
Yeah. So in that period, have you looked anything up in Toki Pona?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I have been tempted to, but I have refrained from doing so.
I appreciate that very much. I promise after this video, you're free.
I know there's a PDF going around my workplace, and some people started discussing it. I said, no, you can't talk about that in front of me. Either you have to stop or I have to leave.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that dedication to the challenge, and you're humoring me in a way. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And then have you had any conversations in Toki Pona before this?
We've had, I think at work occasionally we've said 1 or 2 sentences in Toki Pona as a joke. Tempo nila, mi pilin ike.
It's nice.
Our last meeting, we were supposed to have conversations in Toki Pona, but I think my two conversation partners were not really so into it, and they
Right.
switched to English, so
Okay. Yeah.
that didn't really work out.
That's fine. Okay. Interesting. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, so let's give it a go.
Okay.
Sinapen Toki?
Okay, Toki.
Toki.
Okay. Tempo pinila mitawa mataki tempo 2. Tempo number 1 ma li tempo piniweka.
Uh-huh.
Tempo number 1 li Sikesuno 1 and Luka 2 and Luka 2 and 2-1.
Lon.
Tempo piniweka mute.
Lon. Mataki. Mataki li seme? Lon Toki enli?
Oh, mi olen mute e mataki.
Mataki li seme? Mi sona ala e
Mataki?
mataki.
Mataki sina temponila sina
Lon,
lon
mi lon mataki. Lon, pona.
mataki ma taruki
Matuki. Mi toki enli. Matuki.
Matoki.
Tuki.
Matuki. Okay, Matuki.
Nili suli ala.
Okay.
Nili tempo pini weka.
Tempo pini wek.
Lon. Sina pilin e seme tawa matuki. Matuki li pona tawa sina ano seme.
Matuki li pona a tawa mi. Yan matuki li pona a tawa yan ma ante.
Lon.
Li wili toki tawa ma toki tawa yan ma ante.
Lon. Yan pimatuki li oline yan. Li oline soweli. Soweli muteli lon matomo sanpo. Sinatawa lon nasin la, lon matomo nila, sina lukine soweli mute. Soweli muteli lon.
Soweli seme. Soweli kalama?
Ala. Soweli lili.
Soweli lili.
Soweli lili pi linea uta. Lio e linea uta. Ala. Nili lilia. Soweli ni li lili. Soweli kalama. Sina sona eka. Lon.
Misona.
Yan pimatuki li olin mute e soweli ni. Sina ken lukin e soweli ni lon maale. Pona, sina otoki.
Sitelen lilon,
Sitelen tawa.
Sitelen soweli ni lilon
Lilon
lukin.
tawa. Nili ken. Sina lukin lon ma yutula. Sina sona ala sona e ma yutu. YouTube. Sina lukin lon ma yutula. Sina sitelen soweli pi matukila. Sina lukin e sitelen tawa mute a.
Tempo pinila mi lukin e sitelen ni.
Pona. Sina la moku li pona la pona lon matuki.
Moku li pona.
Moku li
pona.
Mi wile sona io. Sina lon ma nion lon tempo ni anu seme.
Lon.
Tempo pini la sina lon ma talan.
Ma tala. Lon.
Sina la moku pi ma seme li pona. Moku pi ma talan anu moku pi ma nion.
Moku pi matai tala. Moku
Mi
pi matala
tokietala,
li
mi sonala.
moku pi matala li pona tawa moku li moku moku pi ma neon.
Ah, Pona.
So mi mi olin mi olin e moku pi na pi ma neon.
Pona. Pona.
So mi moku mi olin mi olin suli e moku pi mataya.
Pona. That's very good. That's very, very good. Thank you. So, what were we talking about? Would you say?
What? Oh,
What were we talking
what were
about?
what were we in English? You mean?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I told you I'd been to Turkey and a long time ago in 1983, and you said there were many animals in Turkey, and I first said, "Are they dogs or mice?" But of course, you said very clearly they were cats, and I was trying to say that I had seen a movie about the cats of Istanbul, but
Okay.
I said the word Sitilin, which that might mean book or picture, but not movie.
No, it's
I think I
correct. It
probably
was
didn't use the
correct.
right
It was
word.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
And then
that's
you asked me, then you said, because you've lived in Japan and Thailand, which food do you like better? And I said I like Thai food better than Japanese food, though I also like Japanese food.
yes. Yes.
Any
That's very
goofs or
good.
problems in my understanding?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
No, we were able to communicate fine there. And
Okay.
I think that's very interesting. I think it really does make the point very well that after comprehensible input, it's not just that of course there are holes, and 10 hours even into Toki Pona isn't really
Yeah.
enough to become proficient. But we had a fairly fluid conversation there, and I think that was really good. Yeah. Um, I would like to just ask you, I'm sure as a seasoned language learner yourself, I think as you went through the videos, it will have been very difficult for you not to pick out grammatical things and constructs in the input. Was it a bit like that?
Yeah, I think I couldn't help listening and thinking, Lee, is that like the verb to be? Oh no, that doesn't seem to be right. Is Lee a third person marker? Yes, that seems a bit closer. So I was doing things like that, and I wasn't sure, should we not do that, or is it okay to do that while also following the story? And
Yeah.
Andre, who I think you spoke to earlier today,
Yes.
he said, if someone tells you don't focus on the grammar, that's like saying don't think of a banana. And if someone tells you that, you inevitably think of a banana.
Yes. It's true. It's true.
So I was probably maybe not being the ideal learner for this project because I wasn't turning off that analytical part of my brain. But at least while analyzing, I was also following the stories and understanding them. So I hope the acquisition and the learning were happening in tandem.
I think they must have been. And I think also what you just said there shows that even though you were trying to pick it out, anything that you were picking out was always on a provisional basis.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important distinction because when we learn through grammar, the grammar is like, this
Right.
is the language. Okay, I've got it, and I'm going to go and use it. Whereas when you're doing it through input, it's always a provisional thing. It's like, I
Right.
think this might be this, but I'm not sure. Let's just hold off for now and see how it goes. And I think that even though, of course, it's maybe a little more of a, as you say, it may be a cleaner experiment if somebody isn't thinking about that at all. I still think that if somebody is still thinking about these things on a provisional basis, I think it doesn't hurt
Yeah.
nearly as much as having an a priori grammar-based approach, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Well, having studied languages, I've become aware of the a priori grammar approach. often the rules are, well, they're not actually wrong, but the books present a simplified rule to try to fit a complex reality.
Yes.
And in many cases, I've got to be aware, okay, there's this rule in the book. If people are speaking in a different way, I shouldn't be too surprised.
I think it's a lot like using a subway map,
Yes.
right? The subway map is designed for a specific use case. And you can't say, oh, well, these two stations from two different lines seem to be fairly close together on the map, so I can probably get off at this station and walk to that station. No, 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 no. Would you
We've got
agree?
a subway line in Japan, that in Tokyo, the Yamanote line, and on the subway map, it's a perfect circle. It's famous for being a
Right.
circle. But if you actually look on a real map of Tokyo, it always surprises me because the shape is so irregular with angles and corners.
I think that's maybe a useful way to think about grammar. You know, the grammar is like the perfect circle, and thinking of
Oh,
it
that is a
that
good point.
way will
Yes.
help you most of the time. But when you get to brass tacks, sometimes there's going to be a bit of a surprise. Yeah, it's nice. Well, thank you very much for that. I just
Thank
have.
you, Joel, and thank you for the videos. I really appreciated them. I think you did a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that very much. I would like to ask though. I mean, obviously, I think you know your stuff already, but this experience, has it contributed something to maybe your awareness or your approach, or in some way, you know, have you taken anything away from it, would you say?
Well, it was really fantastic for me to do this approach as an absolute beginner, because as I told you, I like to travel and I like to learn languages. So it's kind of hard to find a major world language where my knowledge is absolutely zero.
Yes.
I've traveled to Egypt. I know the Arabic alphabet in scattered words.
Yes.
I've been to Turkey. I can remember a few scattered words.
Yeah.
At the time, I was a vegetarian. I think et yemem was the
Mm.
phrase I was supposed to say. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. That's
Okay,
correct.
yes. Ekmek is bread, and sutlach is the wonderful rice pudding.
And you still
I
remember
think,
that after all this time?
yeah.
That's some memory. Yeah. But as you say, I mean, it's I mean, I'm trying this approach with Russian personally,
Okay.
but still, it's very difficult to keep it a totally isolated experiment. Yeah, yeah. And thank you for your positive comments about the course, of course. But I am also very interested in any feedback, positive or negative, you have about the videos. If somebody else wanted to make videos like this, what should they be careful of? Or, you know, and any thoughts you think might be helpful.
Oh, well, the videos were fine. I think the first video was not the best starting point.
Okay.
First, there was a picture of Play-Doh or plasticine, and I didn't know what it was. I thought they were vegetables or green pepper, so that confused me. And then you talked about kili lone, and I thought kili lone was the word for apple. When I
Okay.
rewatched the video, I realized, oh, kili lone means a real fruit, not not a Play-Doh fruit. That was kind of an abstract concept.
Yes.
Maybe that's inevitable for the first video. We can't help being lost.
Yeah. Well,
And
actually,
it's fine to misunderstand things. I do remember there's a video about the lion who loves the woman, and you had the phrase "Yan piantes cielo," and I thought, oh, that's the doctor, the person of others' bodies, a person who takes care of others' bodies. And then later on, it kind of occurred to me, ante cielo, that's others' bodies. That's not even the right word, or I'm picking up. And then when I rewatched it, of course, it's a plastic surgeon, a man who changes bodies.
right.
But I think that's inevitable. We're going to misunderstand things and make some wrong assumptions. So
Yeah.
that's not a flaw with the videos.
I think so, and it's heartening to me that you were able to work it out as you went through. I think that's very good. If I were to do it again, I think I might start with a few shorter videos, and also maybe with a bit more obvious stories, like very. The thing is, the more
Yeah, I
basic you
think
make it, the less interesting it gets. So it's
like the tortoise and the hare, that's one that everyone knows. that's maybe a good one to start with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And I think they were all Aesop's fables up to a certain point, but I guess my knowledge of Aesop's fables is limited because I didn't know most of them.
Yeah, well, I think I did go for a few rarer ones because I was trying to cover all the vocabulary as well.
Yes.
But yeah, the first one was my invention, which
Oh,
is
really? Okay.
yeah. But see, it's I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is, and at least I think there was enough signal to drown out the noise. I think that's the point here.
Definitely, yes, yes. I think after the, I mean, I feel comparing diaries with some of the other people in my group, I feel like I was understanding more quickly than they were.
Yeah,
Or maybe that's because I was trying to focus on picking up the grammar. Some people got bored and their mind was wandering, but
yeah,
I had a puzzle to attend to,
yes,
so I very rarely got bored.
yeah. It's a challenge because you want to make it interesting.
Yeah,
To make it interesting, you need to make it a little bit unpredictable. But when you make it a little bit unpredictable, it becomes a little bit less comprehensible. So
right. Yes,
there's a bit of a catch-22 going on there.
I think you did a good job with the level. When I started to
Thank you.
rewatch the videos, that was the point when I started to get bored. I'd seen the early videos once before. I knew the story. I knew most of the words at that point. I picked up a few things that I got wrong the first time, but I think for a person watching the videos and willing to persevere and not give up, I think the level was pitched very well.
Good. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Okay. All right. So thank you for making the time.
Okay, thank you. Pona Tawasina.
Ponatawasina. So
And
if you as a listener would like to check out the videos, as I said, it's on YouTube. You just search for the abbreviation OPETP and that's it. If you would like to take the challenge yourself, then the address is bit.ly/30DCIC. So that stands for 30-Day Comprehensible Input Challenge. And you're more than welcome to come on the show like Mike did and share your thoughts and experiences. Thank you very much again, Mike.
thank you. Bye bye.
Take care.
Mitawa.
Mitawa.